sure you guys have seen some photos of Jay in the offseason where he's maybe got a puffy face, or maybe he looks a little bit puffier than usual. And reportedly, he would get up to roughly 290 pounds in the offseason. He would push 300. But this photo right here is the absolute climax of the offseason that I've seen for Jay Cutler.
Wow, Jay Cutler got obese? It's time to get fat as hell when I'm bulking now. What's up, guys? Personal Training Jesus back here again. I wanted to talk about a video that Nick Strength and Power made on a bunch of professional bodybuilders getting very, very fat in the off season, just so some people who may be in a fat bulking phase right now can relate to it and feel a little better. So he made a video and he called out a few names like Lee Priest, Jay Cutler, Johnny Jackson on people that would get very, very fat when they weren't in the competitive off season. And I was thinking, this might be sending the wrong message to people. This might be making people think it's okay that when in a massing phase you get very, very fat and you think you're just gonna shed it off just like those pro bodybuilders. And I'm here to tell you it's not gonna happen. I'm gonna go over a few main reasons why you don't ever wanna get this fat in the off season, provided you're a natural lifter, which is gonna be 99% of the people in the gym.
At that 2019 Pittsburgh Pro, Sean Roden did a guest posing, and he was admittedly very out of shape at that guest posing, and he got a lot of criticism for it. Now, he did acknowledge it in a post afterwards, saying he's always kind of been like this. He's always, taken the time after winning a big show or taking time during the off season to really go back to just relaxing, slowing things down, maybe cycling off of some things, and just relaxing.
In this clip right here, you might notice that he's talking about Sean Roden, former Mr. Olympia, 2018 Mr. Olympia champion. You might notice he said something about cycling off some things. He's referring to the PEDs, the performance-enhancing drugs that these bodybuilders take in their competitive season and in the off-season in order to add mass on or to be able to get shredded enough for the competition. If you're a normal lifter out there, you do not have access to these PEDs or you're not on them. It is not worth it ever to get that fat as these bodybuilders get in the off-season. We want to stay lean and we want to add on weight at a very slow amount as to not put on excess body fat. We don't have those secondary things to help us natural lifters and natural people in the gym to burn that body fat off and keep all of our muscle. There are literally steroids out there and performance enhancers that help people who are enhanced lifters burn body fat down, lose weight, drop the calories, and preserve muscle more so than a natural lifter can. That's why you see these pro-level bodybuilders who are not good examples for the average lifter or the average natural lifter get very, very fat and get away with it. Us natural lifters, we have a lot of huge downsides that these people don't see because they get enhancements and they get PEDs to help them that we don't have. Another reason why you definitely don't want to go down that road of getting so fat during a massing phase is what happens is you end up getting too fat. Afterwards, you're going to have to do a fat loss phase that's going to be way longer than it would be had you been lean bulking for a very long amount of time. So let's say we do a 4-month massing phase and we gain 20 pounds during that month. If you're a natural lifter, unless you just stepped in the gym, the amount of results you're going to get in 4 months is not even going to be close to 20 pounds. So we'd end up having to start a fat loss phase earlier. We'd have to do it for longer because we have 15 pounds of fat instead of maybe 5 pounds of fat to get off now, instead of if we gain 20 pounds over a year period or a 10-month period or something like that. It's not ideal. It's a complete waste of time. Ideally, you want to spend the majority of your time in the gym massing, and you want to spend a little bit of it doing fat loss because it's a lot easier to take fat off your body than it is to add muscle, especially as a natural person with average genetics. And any excess time you're using to cut body fat off your body could be spent in a massing phase doing a lot of reps, doing a lot of weight, progressively overloading to be able to get yourself better. But instead, you got a little too fat, a little too quick, and now you're wasting time that you could be using to get better. Another thing people don't realize too about these long fat loss phases is that they're very mentally draining. If you have to go into a fat loss phase and you're thinking, I have 8 weeks to do this, that's not too bad. I'd agree with you. 8 weeks is not too bad. That's probably a good amount of time you want to spend doing a fat loss, provided you're not just getting right into it. Compared to somebody who got really fat in the off season, or they got really fat in their bulking phase. Now they have to do fat loss for 16 weeks. 16 weeks of reduced calories, a little bit stricter eating, lower energy, lower sex drive, lower energy in the gym, strength maybe dropping weekly because of your fat loss and your reduction in calories. It's definitely very mentally draining. It will add up over time. You definitely don't want to do that. You want to spend a lot of time massing, less time doing fat loss.
I mean, Lee Priest was known to like his fast food, his KFC, his McDonald's, he would get up to between 270 and 285 reportedly in the offseason. And again, this is at a height of 5'4" tall. Now, next up we have Jay Cutler. You guys all know Jay Cutler, 4-time Mr. Olympia, 3-time Arnold Classic champion. He's going to go down in the Bodybuilding Hall of Fame. He's an absolute legend. Sure, you guys have seen some photos of Jay in the offseason where he's maybe got a puffy face, or maybe he looks a little bit puffier than usual. And reportedly, he would get up to roughly 290 pounds in the offseason. He would push 300. But this photo right here is the absolute climax of the offseason that I've seen for Jay Cutler.
In that clip right there, you get to see Lee Priest and you get to see Jay Cutler, 2 legendary bodybuilders from back in the day. Very, very fat in their offseason, and then they get to be completely cut and shredded up and stage lean. Now, they have so many advantages over the average person. They have extremely, extremely good genetics. Not necessarily to be fat or to be lean, but to even build that amount of mass, to be able to get shredded like that. It means they have extremely good genetics. They have 1 in a million, 1 in 100 million, 1 in 10 million genetics around there. The average person doesn't have that, especially, if you're a personal trainer and you have someone in the gym. If you've ever done like a meaningful fat loss phase with someone, you realize the amount of damage getting too fat in a massing phase can do to someone, and you never want to get like that. They have extremely, extremely, extremely hard work ethic. They have extremely fast metabolisms due to the amount of muscle they have in their body, and they have a lot of PEDs to help them that we don't have. Just because you see a professional bodybuilder doing something doesn't mean at all that it can apply to you or apply to anyone you know. They have a lot of extreme advantages that we don't have. And experiences of professional bodybuilders at the highest level are really not applicable to normal people whatsoever. Now, if you go back to my other point about having to do a very long fat loss phase, you just say, oh, hey, instead of doing it for a long time, how about I just diet harder and I lose weight a lot faster? So you make a 16-week fat loss phase of maybe a pound a week or maybe a pound and a half a week to 8 weeks of 2 pounds or 2.5 pounds a week. The downside about that is if you're a natural trainee and you're a natural lifter, you're gonna lose a lot of excess muscle. So maybe that extra time or that extra muscle that you got from eating a crap ton of calories, it's gonna completely go away and you're gonna lose it and you're gonna find that it was completely pointless. You really under no circumstance do you wanna do an extremely aggressive fat loss, even for 8 weeks. Maybe keep it to 3 weeks at a time. That's the most I would say ever to go like that is 4. And the circumstances at which those would be okay are pretty crazy. I remember watching a video by Coach Greg Doucette, and he said that he had a whole year of gains gone away because he spent a long, long time massing and he got way too fat. And when he cut down, he ended up at the exact same weight he was before. And I can tell you, I personally have done the same thing. I spent a long, long massing phase. I got way too fat. I got way too high in body fat. I did an aggressive cut. 8 weeks, I ended up exactly where I was before, exactly in the same spot, maybe 1 pound higher. And that had a whole 21, 22 weeks of a massing phase gone to waste completely just because I got too fat and I did too much of an aggressive fat loss. Now I realize Nick Strength and Power is making this video to maybe make people feel a little better and they're getting a little tubby or getting a little fat when they're doing their massing phase, but you shouldn't want people to feel better about that. You should want people to avoid getting fat in their massing phases. You don't want them to make them feel better and be like, okay, maybe it's okay for me to put on this extra 10 pounds, in which maybe 7 or 8 or 9 of it's gonna be body fat. In the end, after that long massing phase where they're getting very, very fat, it's gonna end up biting them in the butt. They're gonna run into a lot of problems. They're not gonna have the PEDs that these people have to preserve all the muscle and lose all the body fat that fast. And it's gonna end up being a completely pointless endeavor. It's better just to keep it slow. Don't get too fat in your massing phase. Do a lean bulk for a very long time. Personally, I'm a big fan of lean bulks for up to 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 months. If you can be a person who can do a lean bulk for a year and go that slow and do almost pure muscle, I'd say go ahead and do it. That's gonna be your best possible scenario. Lean bulking is always gonna be better than dirty bulking and better than going to a way too high body fat percentage. And I never want you to look at someone who has extreme advantages, extremely good genetics, and PED use as an excuse or a reason why it's okay to get very, very fat in the massing phase. It's not okay, it's not gonna help you at all, and you're gonna be screwed if you end up going through with it all the way. All right, guys, just had to talk a little bit about that Nick Strength and Power video. I thought it was a great video, but I just wanted to make a few points because I don't want natural lifters, at least ones with average genetics or maybe a little bit above average, getting caught in the body fat trap and getting too fat in their bulking phases, because I personally know how bad that can get and how screwed over it'd be and how disappointed you're going to be that a whole year's worth of gains or a whole massing phase's worth of gains can go down the drain just because you were too fat. All right, guys, Will Personal Training. I'll see you later. Peace out.